So now let's dive into the lifecycle of Alpine.js. So Alpine has a handful of different techniques for hooking into different parts of its lifecycle. Now let's go through the most useful ones to familiarize ourselves with it. So first of all, let's do element initialization. So another extremely useful lifecycle hook is the x-init directive. So the x-init is called whenever the element is initialized. It can be added to any element on a page and it will execute any JavaScript you call inside it. So when Alpine begins initializing that element, we can basically actually try this now. We'll have a button inside this body and we will call x-init. So now let's implement this attribute and let's actually test it. So let's call console.log element has been initialized inside this console.log. And now let's actually test it out. So as you can see, as soon as the button is made, the x-init is actually called. So this init directive can also be used on data objects. Let's go ahead and initialize. Let's make a data object using Alpine. So let's go ahead and add an event listener to make sure that Alpine has been initialized before we actually make an object. So we'll have script tags, and then inside it we will add an event listener, and the event we're listening for is the Alpine init. And when Alpine is actually initialized, we will basically call alpine.data. And so let's go ahead and make a data object using alpine.data. And this object is going to be called drop down menu. And when this drop down menu is initialized, we can do this using so let's do an arrow function to make this data object first of all. And now we have constructed data object. Now we can actually use the lifecycle methods. So the first one will do init. So as soon as this data object is actually made, the init function is called, just like a constructor for an object. So now we will so let's console something over here. Console.log something. And let's actually use this data object inside our body. We can simply do this just by adding the data object. So we'll do drop down, and it will automatically link it to this component. So as you can see, as soon as that is made, the init method is called inside our Alpine data object, and our console.log statement is actually executed.